there's nothing quite like a grid of GT3 cars to get you salivating, and as the tyre warmers come off, Alexandre Imperatori's Porsche that was very, very quick yesterday in free practice, we are about to get Q1 underway for the Galaxy Entertainment Macau GT Cup. 2 helpings of GT racing this weekend. GT4 and GTC we've already seen. These are the GT3 cars. These are proper beasts. They are fantastic bits of kit. They all, this is where you put block capital letters into this, make a fantastic noise. Take off block capital letters, and you've got some star drivers as well, with the likes of Varo Engel, with the likes of Raffaele Marciello, with the likes of Eduardo Mortara and Alexander Imperatori, and last year's winner Darrell O'Young as well for Craft Bamboo Racing. Raffaele Marciello, who has Fanatec GT World Challenge Europe powered by AWS Endurance Cup, gets set to go. He's also, of course, been a star in the GT Masters Championship in Germany, which he has been victorious this year. He's won the Spa 24 Hours, so he comes here on the crest of a wave in the Hello Kitty colours. He's Adderley Fong with the Uno Racing Audi. So when the cars venture out onto the circuit in a couple of moments' time, then this is going to be quite a spectacle, that is for sure. Yesterday, in free practice 1, it was Eduardo Mortara that topped the times on a 2 minutes 19.8. In FP2, Alexandre Imperatori's Porsche got to a 2:18.7. That's the time to beat in this first 25-minute qualifying session. David Addison, Alan Hyde. Trackside, as you look there at the Lamborghini of Ling Kang, the former Formula 3 racer in Europe. 51 is David Chen's Ferrari from the Harmony Racing stable. So you have in this grid Audi, Lamborghini, BMW, Porsche and Ferrari all represented. Top brands, and Alan, this year significantly, and it's a very welcome significant point to make, international drivers.
Yeah, and that is a huge plus for this weekend, for the 69th Macau Grand Prix weekend. These are drivers that love coming here. They are works drivers. They essentially go to the jobs that they are told to go to by their bosses, and this is one that's towards the end of the season. Championships have been concluded, and this is an event that in previous years they have competed for the GT World Cup here at Macau, but they love the whole fact that the Macau gear circuit in one of these cars is such a challenge, because you are taming a beast of a car around a circuit that can bite.
Yeah, if you're a manufacturer GT3 driver these days, you are racing somewhere pretty much every weekend. Yeah. There are so many GT championships around the world. You know, although we're talking about the end of the season, the Intercontinental GT Challenge still has a round to go. The Gulf 12 Hours in Abu Dhabi in December, and the chances are that 1 or 2 of the drivers on this grid are going to be dispatched there as well. So, you know, you're in Europe 1 week. Take Jules Gounon, for example, in the summer he was at a British GT round, he was at a European GT round, he was at the Bathurst 12 the week after that for Mercedes in the Intercontinental GT Challenge, then back to a German GT round the week after. You know, there's a huge amount of travelling as well as a huge amount of racing involved for the manufacturer drivers.
Plenty of air miles, that's for sure, and yes, they do such a professional job to have the likes of Mortara, Marciello, Engel and Imperatori was top of the times yesterday in free practice in the Porsche. Yeah,
Mortara, Engel and Marciello, all winners here in GT cars, Formula 3 cars, or in the case of Mortara, both.
Both, yeah.
Imperatori is a very, very quick driver, but perhaps underrated. Darrell O'Young as well, perhaps isn't necessarily regarded as being as quick as those drivers, but is a very, very rapid driver as well. The Hong Kong businessman racer. He's a director of the Craft Bamboo Racing team, and the car is good to go. 25 minutes then for this session. And very shortly the cars will be released from the holding area.
We made the point earlier on that both of their free practice sessions were clean yesterday. They were a full 25-minute duration, and that was great to see. Imperatori, first car out, the Porsche. Varo Engel, car 77, the Craft Bamboo Mercedes.
Now compare and contrast from spindly single-seaters that we had a little while ago for the F4 Grand Prix qualifying session. These are big beasts. These take an awful lot of taming around the circuit, especially around the Macau hairpin.
Yeah, well, they take up the whole of the road around the Macau hairpin, but we'll make a point yesterday. Getting a good run through Macau sets them up for a good lap. The run down the hill, very, very important.
You can also tell, can't you, with respect to the others, who the manufacturer pro drivers are, because as soon as they came onto the circuit, straight away they were into tyre warming, weaving left and right when they had the opportunity, when they had clear space around and didn't have any cars to risk making contact with. The tyre warming was in operation, whereas others just came out onto the circuit. But straight away, the pro drivers going through their programme of what they have to do, and Alexandre Imperatori now trying to get away from the pack so that he's on his own, has got clear space around him.
We noticed in the GT4s earlier on, GTCs and GT4s, that necessarily the times from free practice didn't equate to the first qualifying session today.
True.
I wonder if we're going to see that today.
The other thing that went out of the window was the order. Drivers as well that we thought we knew about from yesterday in free practice in GT4 also counted for very little. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be one of that fairly long list, isn't it, of Imperatori, Mortara, Engel, Marciello, Ouyang, possibly Frankie Cheng, possibly Adderley Fong, all up there or thereabouts, and that's very nearly half the grid.
Potentially, yeah, right. This is the car that topped the times in free practice 2 yesterday. Imperatori's time in the Porsche was 2:18.7, weaving the car on the run towards the Donna Maria left-hander, long left-hander. He's on the exit down to the Macau hairpin.
He's become really a Porsche specialist, hasn't he, over the years? Carrera Cup Asia champion, and has been driving for the KCMG team of late in international sports car races. Crawls through the hairpin.
Really
so
slow.
That now he will accelerate away, and everybody else behind doing exactly the same thing, trying to stagger their launch onto a lap so that the traffic escapes up the road ahead.
What a glorious noise the Porsche made as he hit the accelerator. Absolutely wonderful.
And the speed building then as they weave their way from Fisherman's up towards our bend. So Imperatori out of Engel, they're the three that are about to go onto a flying lap. So up towards the timing line now comes Alexandre Imperatori onto a flying lap, and look at the gap that he's pulled over the opposition, so he's got the road to himself. This is a lap he cannot afford to waste.
And we saw earlier on, we always see it during these qualifying sessions, you have to make an early lap. You have to put a banker lap in. You don't know what's going to happen at Macau, and very often anything can happen during a session. Yeah. A session could be shorter than expected. It could be truncated with a red flag, and therefore the requirement to get the tyres back up to temperature on the restart. So putting in an early lap, this is exactly what you need to do. The banker lap.
So Imperatori, of course, did the absolute best in Sector 1 because he was the first person to get there, but it soon went green, meaning that Mortara behind him has gone even faster. So the Porsche is going to look good. It's going to give you the benchmark time, but it's the Audi as well that is going to be factored into this. Mario Engel is third in the queue as Imperatori comes then now towards the Solitude S's, but did he just waste a little bit of time as he accelerated towards that point? No, just seemed to drop ever so slightly, suggesting that maybe he misshifted. Absolute best in Sector 2. Let's see whether that stays purple because of the traffic behind him.
And although we say Imperatori top of the times yesterday, by only a whisker, wasn't it, from Mortara?
Yeah, the margin between them was something like 31 thousandths of a second, which is quite whiskery. So I take your point. Now look,
very narrow whisker.
Very true. It is a green, not a purple. So again, Mortara or Engel behind, going faster. So Imperatori will offer you the target time, but I don't think it's going to stand as the pole position lap.
I think you might be right. And did I detect a little bit of a non-smooth exit from a corner there? So we shall wait and see. These are only infinitesimal mistakes that we can look for that are going to be the difference, but overall best in Sector 3. Is that going to stay? No, it doesn't.
So sector by sector, Mortara is looking as quick, if not better. So is Engel. Here comes Imperatori then down towards our bend. This will give the target time So as I said earlier on, yesterday we got the car into the 2.18s. The opening salvo is going to be round about at 2.20, and the track is blocked because, and we're going to get a red flag straight away, because there you can see in the wall the Mercedes of Chan Chen Shan, and 66 has got involved in that, Min Hang. So it is then Maro Engel that goes quickest on a 2 minutes 20.598. Imperatori did a 2:20.771, but there's no option but to stop the session because the road is blocked. And that goes back to Alan's point that you never know what's going to happen, so you need a banker lap, and only 3 drivers, Engel, Imperatori and Mortara, got a lap in before the flags flew. Yeah,
Marciello significantly was not able to do so, and after 2 free practice sessions without interruption, unfortunately we now have 2 cars blocking the circuit, and we get a chance to see what happened. The 88 car goes round, it's blocking the circuit. This is inevitable. Only a light touch, but there just wasn't the way through, was there?
And it's a blind corner, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, only as he turns round it, all of a sudden, Min Hang then finds a car in his way, but this is the knock-on, that nobody else can get past. So until they've sorted out the mess, you just can't circulate.
No. Imperatori then, first of the cars out of pit lane. So the cars are being released space on the circuit, not the space for a 3-point turn easily.
No. So they need all the traffic to go through the narrow gap. If you've never seen a car breathe in, you're about to, because the Lamborghini there is going to try and squeeze through Liu Chi Ren's Parkview motor.
You can get through there.
Get a bus through there. Right, everybody gets away.
And after 6 o'clock this evening, you probably will.
Yeah, indeed, yes. Right, there is the car of Min Hang then that was involved in that, but I think has escaped relatively lightly.
Yeah, it was only a light touch, wasn't it?
Yeah. But quite how easy it's going to be for Chan Chen Shan to turn around the MP Racing Mercedes, all will be revealed. Anyway, it shouldn't take long now before we can get things underway. The cars with limited amounts of damage, and 19.5 minutes, which therefore we should get to the end of. Number 5 was in the wall yesterday, wasn't it? The Orehua YC Racing Audi.
A couple of problems yesterday for that car, weren't there?
Yeah.
Free practice 1 and free practice 2 as well. Everyone will need to come in, take their berth in pit lane, get the circuit clear, make sure that there's no debris left on the circuit, and then we'll be ready to get this qualifying session back underway. They qualify in Q2 at the end of the afternoon, and that's going to be 4:30 this afternoon. Final activity out on track.
So still there are cars to return to the pits. Maro Engel there creeped through the gap.
There is barely space, is there?
Yeah.
None of them want to touch the front splitter on the stricken Mercedes. It does take you very close to the barrier. I'd have to get out. I'd have to ask someone else to do it for me. I don't like squeezes like that.
So that's just about everybody, and that therefore means that Chan Chen Shan's car can either go in the reverse direction and do a spin turn where there's a bit more room, or it can be lifted. So Alexandre Imperatori heads down the pit lane. So Maro Engel's time then, 2 minutes 20.598, but again, they're virtually having to reset now, aren't they, because all the tyre temperature disappears.
You can do that in 1. That looks a better angle, doesn't it? You have got the turning space there. So
there's not a lot of lock on a GT3 car.
Not an awful lot, no.
Sort of need to boot it full of revs and then spin turn it, don't you?
So it was a spin for 88, Chang, that then caused the problem for Min Hang in the Toro Racing Porsche, and consequently brought out the red flag. 19.5 minutes just under remain. Oh, yes, we can. So the car on its way with a glorious noise, and this should hopefully mean that things will be fairly quick to get back underway.
Session will be resumed shortly, says the race director, and that means that really as soon as the car of Chen Hanshen is in the pit lane, we can go again. So that car makes its way back into the pit lane. Everybody else will regroup and we'll be back in business as soon as. Now, why has Maro Engel's time been taken away? That must have been because it was just the wrong side of the red flag.
Of the red flag, yeah.
It means that Alexandre Imperatori and Edo Mortara are the only two with a lap time. Maro Engel, he is, has had his lap time removed, so it must have been pretty marginal as to when he broke the beam relative to when the red flag came out.
Good spots. Yeah, and so only 2 times on the timing screen, and that's the car which is currently on top of the times. Is that not a in fact, I'm not going to say it's a glorious looking car because they all are, but that particular iteration of the Porsche, I think, is completely beautiful.
And there's a new one on the way for next year. Yeah. Many of the teams already off testing, and there'll be many more Porsches coming into international GT competition next season.
In recent years, this is the car that we've got used to seeing and being the benchmark for the GT Cup, the GT World Cup, before that, and
the Mercedes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the Mercedes AMG, as Mercedes AMG like it to be known.
And we were always sort of quite keen to see what liveries they were going to come up with for this year. There was one year that it was an all green and a nod to the green hell, that being the Nürburgring. And every year they come up with some really striking designs for these cars. It's a big thing. It's a big thing for manufacturers.
It is indeed. And it's not just an end-of-season race hidden away. It is now a global event, and it's one of the reasons that even in these travel-restricted times, the event has continued. The green flag is being made ready. Now it goes green and the session is back live again. But yeah, the attention that comes to the Macau Grand Prix comes worldwide.
And Maro Engel was fairly keen to get out of pit lane and get back on track. That time having been taken away, having been judged, we think, to have been just completed by the time the red flag came out. So rules are rules, and they are applied from race control. So now we get the cars and the tyres back up to temperature. In fairness, they didn't have too long in pit lane, so they wouldn't have dissipated all of their heat.
No, but well, I was going to say, really, I suppose part of the problem is it was a very, very slow inlet because they were at a standstill because they had to queue to get through the narrow gap. But anyway, you're right. It was a relatively short pause, and so we are now back in business. Another fantastic noise as a whole pack of GT3 cars climbs up San Francisco Hill and then on towards Solitude S's. So, although we've got a couple of lap times, they're of little relevance, really, because now we're back in business. This is where the next lap should start to tumble.
Yeah, it's a 25-minute session for Q1 and for Q2 as well. Q2 at the end of the afternoon. A very bright, multicoloured Hello Kitty livery on Adelaide Fong. That's going to have a lot of younger supporters in the grandstands come Grand Prix day on Sunday. They race at 1:05. Spectators will be crammed into the grandstands right the way around the significant watching areas. And again, we see now Maro Engel, it is, that's going to be controlling the pace. Everything. So we need to remember when they go out of Melco hairpin not to talk, so we can enjoy the sound.
Exactly. They're coming up to the hairpin. It's almost like a rolling start, isn't it? Because they slow right down and then the other side launch.
Oh, a symphony of GT cars as they apply the power coming out of the Melco hairpin. And the second part of this qualifying session, Q1, is well and truly underway.
And they're all different sounds as well. You know, the Porsche engine note so different from the Audi, so different from the Mercedes engine note. There's still a lot of tyre warming going on. So there is Alessandro Imperatori, the Swiss driver, based out in Hong Kong these days. Comes up towards the timing line, goes through, then onto a flying lap. So out laps completed. This is the one that's going to count for everybody. And Mauro Engel, potentially, bearing in mind that he's a double winner of the FIA GT World Cup here, is going to be man on a mission. First lap time in and put himself at the top of the times.
I can't say enough over the course of this weekend just how great it is to have these international drivers back at the Macau Grand Prix. It's been incredible that Macau have been able to keep this event going in 2020 and 2021, and they have kept it going remarkably. It's just brilliant testimony to how much work goes on behind the scenes. But this year, it's a real turning point. We've got big grids and we've got international drivers back as well. Great stuff.
Here, here. So Alessandro Imperatori, Eduardo Mortara, the top two, the only two with a lap time. And now you start to see a pro driver at work, knowing exactly where to position the car, exactly how hard you can push without just breaking away. Oh, so close to the barrier there, like a coat of paint away.
Goodness me, that was a whisker.
It was indeed, but Imperatori got it right. Accelerates then now toward the police.
And
deep
again,
on the brakes there.
So tight to the barrier.
Yeah, you can hear the splitter grind the ground, can't you? Up the hill towards Moorish, then on to Donna Maria, he will go.
Such commitment. And that is exactly how you need to drive these cars. It's we said it at the start, we said it a few times, it really is taming these beasts. Purple in sector 2 for the Porsche of Imperatori, around the Melco hairpin. Neat and tidy, that.
But ahead of him is Engel, and so Mauro Engel, I suspect, is going to be the one that offers up the target time. So here he comes. Now, can we get Mauro Engel into the 2-minute 20s? We've got a couple of cars under investigation for crossing the pit exit line. Mauro Engel then should be something like a 2:19 potentially as he heads up towards the line. That's Edo Mortara through. Engel does a 2:18.9. Imperatori, however, goes even quicker, 2:18.217. So Mauro Engel it is who is the fastest, but the times change because, as I say, Alessandro Imperatori 2:18.217. Engel is second, and then third Adderley Fong, good effort, 2:19.199. We also need to keep an eye to what Raffaele Marciello is up to in number 99 Mercedes.
We certainly do, yeah, because languishing not where we would expect the car to be, having not put a lap on the board yet. We expect Raffaele to be right up there when he puts it. He was impressive in Formula 3 around the Macau circuit, and equally impressive in GT machinery as well. Darrell Young goes fourth as we watch Mauro Engel in the 77 car. We thought Imperatori was committed on that lap. He was, wasn't he? Top of the times, 2:18.217. And this is Mauro Engel.
So Engel then, Formula 3 Championship runner-up, DTM racer, V8 supercar racer, Macau hero, presses on. 2 personal bests in sectors 1, effectively 7/10 of a second to jump ahead of Alessandro Imperatori. Not necessarily is he going to find them on this lap. It looks good, but is it good enough? He's still got clear track space around him. So with 12 3/4 minutes on the clock into Donna Maria, he comes, skims the Armco on the inside, squirts it up towards the Melco hairpin, and then it's down to first gear and crank on the lock.
Through Melco hairpin in the sunshine, back into the shade, and accelerate down. That's Eduardo Mortara. That's Mauro Engel. Sparks fly as the car comes around the final few turns on the circuit for Mauro Engel. Absolutely spectacular.
And an absolute best then in sector 3. So there's an improvement there for Engel. So again, a 2:18.2 is the time to beat. It's going to be close, this, as he comes then now down towards our bend. A 2:18.1 is a possibility given that last sector. Let's see. Up towards the line he goes. Mauro Engel goes through, and it is a 2:18.165. He's done it by 52 thousandths of a second.
Absolutely superb. It was so committed, wasn't it, Mauro Engel? Very impressive, that. And we saw the sparks flying as he was coming round the final sector. It was an overall best of 2:18.1, and that's just a hair's breadth ahead of Alexandra Imperatori with a 2:18.217 on that last lap for Imperatori. Engel through Lisboa up towards San Francisco Hill.
And Marciello is up to fourth fastest now. Raffaele Marciello has done a 2:19.064.
First lap on the board, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So you've got the leading four all within a second of each other. And Eder Mortara is only a Nat semi-crotchet the wrong side of it. He's 94th, magic second. So Engel, Imperatori, Fong, Marciello, Mortara, Young, the top six. Ling Kang is seventh. Frankie Cheng is eighth. Ninth is Chen Weian. And 10th Min Heng, who were involved in that red flag incident that halted the session a little while ago. Here is Marciello. Good, not so good. Sectors 1, 2 and 3. But let's see whether there can be an improvement. 2:19.0 is his best. He's got to be in the 18s, though, to be back at the races. And let's see what he can do as he heads up towards the line. It's going to be good. It's going to be a 2:18, I would predict. He comes across the line, and it's a 2:18.652. Stays fourth, but he's closer to the pace.
Certainly is, and I think the six names that we said we were very happy to have here at Macau this weekend occupy the top six places. And it's Maro Engel that's on top of the times at the moment, a 2:18.165. Looking at Raffaele Marciello, personal best in sector 1 through Lisboa. Turns through the corner up towards San Francisco Hill, turns through the corner, and then the climb up towards the technical test on the circuit. The wall on the right, the barrier on the left. The circuit tightens up. We're going uphill, and all of the challenges that drivers absolutely adore. And we just got a brief shot there of the marshal. For marshals, I'm not sure there are many places in the world that you can get quite so close to the action with Raffaele Marciello almost kissing the barrier, and the marshal looks on just on the other side. Very exciting.
It is. Marciello then looking good in the sectors. He's done 2 improvements. We've got Imperatori heading into the pit lane. Min Heng's just got into the top 10 in his Porsche. And Marciello still fighting the Mercedes. Now, of course, he specialises in these cars, but on a Pirelli tyre, a Michelin tyre, it's something new for him.
And that could be significant.
Absolutely.
I mean, we without talking to the drivers, just how significant that is. But yeah, this has had a couple of little moments, hasn't it?
Yeah, he's having to wring the neck of the car, and you know, not only is the tyre new, it's a new team for Raffaele, so he knows the car inside out. But you know, part of this is how well that team is on top of the car to deliver what he wants in the race car, in the setup. Plus, having to get used to how the tyre works. He spent all year in the European Championship dealing with a new Pirelli tyre, a little bit of debris on the road there that he drives over. So there are new elements. Same is true for Engel. Again, different team, different tyre and all of that. But how quickly the drivers are able to respond is significant. The BMW there bails out of the way. Raffaele Marciello comes up towards the stripe and goes slower, 2:19.3. 8 minutes on the clock now.
2:18.6 was best, and maybe just those couple of little wiggles. It's enough to upset a time when you're talking about hundreds of seconds, thousands of seconds. Separate top drivers in top machinery. Maro Engel up towards the Melco hairpin, turns through the corner. Good exit, nice and neat and tidy. And now apply the power. And applying the power in one of these things is something pretty impressive. 2:18.165 is the benchmark time for Maro Engel on provisional pole in this Q1. And time flies when you're having fun, doesn't it? 7 minutes and 10 seconds of this session remain. Yellow, yellow, yellow in the first 3 sectors for Maro Engel. So not putting in a personal best, not putting in an overall best, and across the line. So 2:24.7 on that. So a few seconds slower than his provisional pole time. Again, rather proving it's so important to make the lap time stick right at the start. This is Eduardo Mortara.
Yeah, who's only 5th. I was just looking at his FP1 time when he was the quickest. He did a 2:19 yesterday in FP1. He has gone quicker than that, but I'm surprised that the Audi, he's only 5th fastest, given that he is another Macau expert, winner of the Formula 3 Grand Prix twice. So Enno Mortara needing to find the best part of a second, really, to get to the top of the times as Engel heads his way through the S's. There is Mortara in the Audi R8, one of GT3's most successful types of car, the Audi R8. We're on to the Evo 2 now, the R8 LNS. Had the Evo and the Evo 2. So it's got through different iterations, but so many races, so many titles won by Audi, so many teams operating the cars. He's another one perilously close to the wall there. This car run by the Absolute Racing team under the Audi Sport Asia Team Absolute banner. And Mortara chases Engel with 5 3/4 minutes still to go, but doesn't look as though the times are necessarily coming to him. Imperatori down a second, has gone back out again. Audi comes out of Donna Maria, so the turbocharged Audi.
Such a sleek, neat-looking car, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's always fascinating in this to look at the way that the different brands attack the, if you like, problem of a GT3 car. How do you do it? You know, is it going to be down to the shape? Is it down to grunt? Is it down to power? You know, do you go normally aspirated? Do you go turbo? There are far more elements to GT3 racing than perhaps you get in touring cars or even Formula 1, where it's very much a sort of wind tunnel exercise and the regulations constrain what you can do. But here you've got, you keep saying it, different shapes, different sizes, different sounds, different engine sizes as well. So the turbo Audi chases the grunt and go Mercedes over the timing line. Engel's lap was a slow one at a 2:21 and Mortara a 2:19, but still a couple of tenths shy of what he was doing earlier.
Yeah, I was just looking up the World Cups from 2019 and 2018, the last 2 times that we had them. Mortara finished 6th in the World Cup, GT World Cup here at Macau in 2019, and I think further down the order in 2018. So, no, slightly further up, so 4th, but off the podium.
Now, Mortara has just done an absolute best in the first sector. So is this the lap that he actually delivers what we know he's capable of? Let's see. He's going to maintain this through the next 3 sectors then as he comes down through the Solitude S's there, having to work the car all the time, dancing between the barriers, the concrete wall on one side, concrete on the other, and then accelerating down the hill here. The time that he's got to beat in the middle sector is around about 64 seconds. Let's see where he stands on that. And he's ever so slightly down as he gets to the end of sector 2. So Mortara, it started well. Even so, an improvement should bring him up the order from 5th, even if he doesn't go top, and he'll just be able to get 1 more lap out of the session.
This has been a good clear lap as well, hasn't it? Just keep it neat, keep it tidy, and we'll see what the time is going to be for the Audi of Eduardo Mortara. He has such an army of fans here at Macau, you know, to walk around the paddock, and so many people want an autograph, a photograph, and he really is Macau. No mistake about that.
Well, let's see whether he can go to the top of these charts, because he's down in sector 2 and 3. Ooh, okay, so the lap started off all right, but it's heading away a little bit now as Maro Engel remains top from Imperatori. Adley Fong 3rd, Marcello 4th, Mortara 5th, avoiding that debris on the exit of Fisherman's up the escape road there. Look, has gone the Lamborghini of Liu Chi-ren. But more importantly, heading up towards the timing line, Mortara is then over the line in a second. It should be an improvement for him, but by what? It's going to put him 4th fastest that lap.
Impressive, not impressive enough to compete with Maro Engel, Alexander Imperatori and Adley Fong as well. The top 3 with 2 minutes of the session remaining, and Mortara is still on it. Look at the car skipping around. He's still attacking on the gear circuit, coming up towards the right-hander at Lisboa. No traffic in front. This is potentially very, very good news for this lap for Eduardo Mortara. That is the 55 car of Daryl O'Young. We've not seen Daryl too much during this session, but he is currently 6th, a 2:19.379. for the Mercedes of Darryl O'Young, with the great story of the victory last year in this GT3 race at Macau. Car very badly damaged after Saturday. I don't think many of us thought the car would be out. Not only was it out, with huge testament to the team and the work they did overnight, not only out, but also a winner.
And it means a huge amount to Darryl O'Young, didn't he? Because he quarantined himself in order to take part in this race. He had won the GT Cup before, but to win it last year made it all worthwhile.
Won the first GT Cup, didn't he?
That's right, yeah.
So just 30 seconds remain, and that is the car that provisionally is on pole, Maro Engel.
I'm not sure that anybody else is going to go quicker in Q1. I think he's done this absolutely to perfection, hasn't he? He's looking so strong, and he might not have been here for a few seasons, but you wouldn't think it.
Not only a great driver, but also a driver that totally gets everything about being a professional racing driver. Even at the worst times in the pit lane, if you approach him tentatively with a microphone or a camera crew, he'll look over to you, give you an indication. Yep, that's fine. Come and talk to me. I'll explain.
Yeah, and part of that is the time spent in Australia, where it is almost impossible not to find a friendly driver. You know, and every interview finishes with a thumbs up and a big smile to the camera. Yes, they do it properly.
He's a really nice guy.
He is. He's a great guy, absolutely, and the most Australian-sounding German you'll ever meet. Now he's picked up the accent when he drove for Betty Clemenco's Erebus team, and he's kept it. So the flag is out. Maro Engel. He's going to head to the pit lane. He's not going to improve. There's no point driving around to finish that lap and an in lap. He can just come in now. So a great effort that. Engel Imperatore, but who perhaps gets rather overlooked because when he was in Europe as a single-seater racer and inexperienced, he wasn't that quick, but he's matured into a pretty decent GT driver in this region, and he goes third. So to be ahead of Mortara and Marciello and O'Young, and there is Adderley Fong, with whom I'm talking, that's a good effort.
Really good effort, yeah. Third for Adderley Fong in the 72 multicoloured Hello Kitty liveried car. I'm going to say that quite a lot because I like Hello Kitty looking up on the front of the car.
You know, that doesn't surprise me for one moment.
No, I know. It's never a surprise, is it?
No.
As Eduardo Mortara's car gets pulled back in pit lane. I tell you the reason why I like things like that. It's because the joy that it can bring to the young racegoers, and these drivers understand that, and they realise how much joy they can bring to young motorsports fans that come along to Macau to have what will be a thoroughly entertaining Saturday and Sunday for our qualification races on Saturday and the two motorcycle races, including the Motorcycle Grand Prix and then Grand Prix Day on Sunday.
Well, Adderley Fong yet to take the flag, but he's not improving on this lap, but it's been a really good effort, as we've been saying, in the very distinctive multicoloured Audi. And he is only, what, 0.279 of a second shy of Alexandre Imperatore. I wouldn't have thought necessarily he needed to complete this lap. He's not going to improve. If the team are on their toes, they would perhaps say you can pit now, but we'll see what the team elects to do. Maro Engel then tops the times, a good effort, and Adderley Fong is going to complete the lap, but that surprises me. That's just a waste of a lap. He's not going to improve, and he's then got an in lap to do anyway. So why the team didn't say bail and call him in is a surprise. However, third he ends up. So it is Mercedes AMG from Porsche, from Audi, Mercedes AMG, Audi, Mercedes Lamborghini, and then 9th and 10th we have the Ferrari of David Chen, just ahead of Porsche again of Min Hang. Eduardo Mortara looks on. Has a look at the times. But a bit of frustration, I think, from Edo that it took a long time only to be fourth, and the Audi doesn't seem to be quite as hooked up here as the Mercedes, and that he's not even the fastest Audi driver will be of concern as well. Maro Engel tops the times at the end of the Galaxy Entertainment Macau GT Cup Q1, ahead of Alexandre Imperatore, the margin between them being 52 thousandths of a second. Then Adderley Fong for third, ahead of Eduardo Mortara, Raffaele Marciello 5th, and Frankie Cheng rounding out the top 6, with the car of Kelvin Lung rounding out the 16 that we have. But Maro Engel then, by a narrow margin, just 52 thousandths quickest in Q1 for the Macau GT Cup, backed this year by Galaxy Entertainment.